This will sound like a stupid question, but when was the last time I snapped my fingers? I think it was in one of my oven break videos. Either way, I don't know why I don't do it more often. Oh yeah, that happens. Trauma aside, this video is what my last video was supposed to be. A shorter, yet equally content-rich video. But at the same time, I feel like I'm just cursed to make long videos, so we'll see how this goes. Have you ever heard of Monster School? If you're like most people, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. But for the few of you that know what I'm talking about, allow me to explain to the masses. Monster School is the name of a short animated series created by Willcraft Animations, or just Willcraft, today. As their username implies, the series is themed around Minecraft, with the synopsis being about what mobs have to go through before starting their careers as hostile mobs. It's a simple premise, and you're probably wondering why I'm even talking about this. Well, it's because Monster School is no longer just a series. It's become a concept that many have used to create their own iterations of Monster School. However, this has led to extremely mixed results. No matter how many people have tried their hand at this concept, no one has been able to replicate the charm of the original series. And so, I'm going to be taking a look at the original Monster School series, both to poke fun and explain what worked so much about it to have created this trend. Let's start with the first video in the series, being...
Meet the Robinsons.
While not an episode, this video mainly serves to establish the characters of Monster School. Yeah, believe it or not, these guys aren't blank templates. They're characters with distinct personalities and established relationships. I know that sounds fucking stupid when looking at an animated series about mobs in school, but it's something that the other iterations barely recognize. I'll summarize the characters and their archetypes real quick. First up is Zombie, who's dumb but willing to learn. Skellington's got mad culinary skills, but bad at using a bow, the one thing he's meant for. Creep is selfish, writing off of others' works to get good grades and fly under the radar. Spider is Skellington's best friend and a bit of a show-off. Andy is a talented artist who's nice to everyone except Zombie Swine. Zombie Swine is your typical school bully. Mucus is a top student who always does his best, despite lacking physically. Gist is a loner with the weird hobby of collecting heads. And Herebrine is their stern teacher. Despite being simple characters fundamentally, there was enough thought put into who these mobs are to create natural stories and relationships. And this is shown in the first episode. Crafting is the first episode of Monster School, and the plot is extremely simple. The mobs try their hand at crafting, and things go from there. It might not have been obvious, but there's no dialogue or voice acting in this series, meaning that everything is expressed through the characters' actions and body language. We get to see a bit of these characters' personality traits in action. Andy's artistic ability allows him to create an iron golem. Mucus tries his quote-unquote hand at redstone. Spider uses his web to craft a fishing rod. Gist uses Zombie's head to create something. And Zombie Swine fucks off the whole time and barely tries. An interesting thing about this series is that it always ends in a scorecard, allowing us to see what grade everyone got. And while I can get down with everyone, Mucus did not deserve an A. All bro did was made a dispenser with a redstone torch. Andy made a whole-ass golem. But I mean, I guess that's the real-world equivalent to a human creating, I don't know, an evil robot.
You take some chocolate and some lobster and some eggs and some pie, and then you mix it in your body and shit it all out.
Episode 2 is themed around cooking. I guess this was a holiday special because it uses this goofy cover of Jingle Bells. Oh, I forgot to mention, Episode 1 is really slow in terms of its pace, but Episode 2 picks up the speed to a much more natural level, so that's good. Anyways, this episode is surprisingly enjoyable. I don't know what happened between the 10 days of this episode and the last one, but so much has improved. Animations, shot variety, pacing, comedic timing. I'm still talking about Minecraft animations, right? I don't know what it is about this stupid cover that elevates random jokes to be funnier than they probably are. We even get to see a lot more from these characters. Zombie Swine being careless, Andy being a good person, Creep stealing Mucus's work, and Skellington being cracked at cooking. I like the detail of Skellington tossing the chicken head at Gist and her picking it up. Also, it turns out Mucus isn't as physically lacking as I thought. Unless this is like a our nice guy situation. Episode 3 is themed around stealing, with the mobs having to get in and steal from Steve's house without being caught or killed. It's at this point where the animation really starts to pick up, as there's a lot more expression with these characters' body language and how they interact with one another. Skellington and Spider, Andy and Creep, Gist and Zombie Swine, there's a lot done with these characters. I also love how each mob makes use of their abilities and deals with their shortcomings, even if some of it is inaccurate today. Andy never fails to do well, and seeing Mucus fail in a physically challenging situation is more in line with what I expected for this character. They really put out all the stops, man. This episode's really enjoyable. Episode 4 is themed around hiding from Steve, I think. Bro came straight out of MySpace. Anyways, this episode's alright. It's kinda awkward in the beginning, both because I wasn't sure what the assignment was, and because this Kevin MacLeod song was copyright claimed, resulting in the episode starting like this. We get to see more of Zombie being stupid and Skeleton sucking ass at archery, and this episode also establishes Endy's uncontrollable side when being confronted by Steve, and I can see the fan art already. Forget Mucus, Endy's the real nice guy. Also, I don't know what it is about Gis, but she's been dominating the class recently. Episode 5 is themed around brewing, and is also the shortest episode in the series, excluding Meet the Students. Subbing for Herobrine is this witch character, who basically serves the exact same purpose as him. This episode is fine, definitely on the weaker side, but enjoyable for being 1 minute and 40 seconds. Mucus does whatever the hell this is, along with the rare zombie swine dub. Alright, but what if he turned into an elephant? I can excuse this episode for being as average as it is, because we got a banger coming up. This is the first episode of Monster School I had ever watched. I'm embarrassed to say how long ago that may have been, but all I can remember is that this episode was quality. Episode 6 is themed around combat, and this might be the first time every mob has done good. Don't let that scorecard fool you. Every character has their moment to shine. I love how Skellington takes out Steve, along with Zombie Swine's cartoonishly oversized mallet. Oh yeah, and Endy's part goes hard. I can see younger me basing my entire personality off of this one scene, and that's incredibly embarrassing. Also, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but there's a post-credits scene where Herobrine requests Hildegard, the witch from the last episode, to send an invite to every other hostile mob not enrolled in his class. We're not even at season 6 yet, and we're already introducing new characters. Anyways, hardest cliffhanger in fiction.
Meet the Robinsons.
I don't know whether to count this as an episode or not, because there's an animated segment in the first half, but then text introduction in the second half, so, yeah. Let's not beat around the bush. Who are these new characters and their archetypes? Well, starting off, we have Sylvester, who's timid and cowardly, but curious. Blaze is short-tempered. Widden is an idiot. Join the club. Cavell is codependent and refuses help from anyone in order to not appear small. And then there's Zupe. Fuck Zupe. I blame every bad thing and minor inconvenience in my life on Zupe, and I've never felt happier. There's also 2 other students, Maggie and Multis, but they don't really follow any archetype. Maggie splits herself up into smaller magma cubes in order to not be perceived as fat, and Multis has 3 heads with conflicting minds and personalities. Alright then. Hopefully we'll see how well these characters fit in with our previous cast in the next episode. Also, I've been seeing these comments in every video.
Alright, I get it!
With the class size now doubled, episode 7 is themed around mining and splitting the students into groups. With the exception of Sylvester, we get to see a lot of new characters in action. Tension between Creep and Blaze, Widden being fucking stupid, and Zupe being a asswipe. Overall, there's not a lot done with these new characters yet, so we're still relying on old relationships for entertainment and comedy. Let's see if things pick up in the next episode. Episode 8 is all about physical activity, such as running, parkour, and climbing. And despite being a really simple concept, this episode does a much better job at making these new characters actually fit in. There's a lot of thought put into how these characters use their attributes to their advantage. Sylvester can phase through blocks, the spiders use their web, Zupe is nothing short of an anomaly, Maggie is an interesting character for once, and Endy does this. Best character. Also, there's no scorecard at the end of the episode for some reason, I originally thought it was because 3 challenges in one would have been harder to grade, but at the same time, people may have been complaining about the scorecards, which resulted in the creator not doing them anymore. Oh no, I'm part of the problem. Anyway, this episode is good.
That was a real scream!
It's Halloween,
It
Julian.
actually scared me!
It's Halloween, Julian.
Happy Halloween!
Episode 9 is a Halloween special themed around the students trick-or-treating. And even though it's really short, this is probably one of the best episodes in the series. There's a lot of good interactions with these characters. Murder, arson, vor. What more do you want, general audience? I'm kinda running out of things to say, so let's keep it going.
I don't feel so good.
Holy shit, we've got an intro. I also have no idea who this bus driver is, but I can smell the fanfiction already. Oh yeah, I forgot about the synopsis. Scare games, but awesome.
Hey, Bruiser! You take it easy on Grandpa.
Well, I think it's pretty obvious what the archetype for this character is. What is bro doing? Yo, check it out! The first scorecard that isn't 144p. Not that it matters too much, because we've arrived at the most important episode in the series.
Please let this be a normal field trip with a friend? No way!
Cruising on down Main Street, you're relaxed and
Bus Trip is the 11th and final episode of the original Monster School series. The episode revolves around the students taking a field trip. We get a lot more screen time for Hildegard and the bus driver, to which I've decided these characters are a lot more interesting than Herobrine could ever be. Their first stop is the forest, where we get some foreshadowing that Zupe is going to be a pain in the ass throughout the whole trip. Then they go to the eyesore that is the old Nether. Listen, I get it. The Nether is meant to be hellish. But you're telling me you'd rather be in the Nether for hours looking at this? There's a genuinely cute moment between Moltis and Gis that reminds me of Skellington in episode 2. And we like that.
It'll be out when it's out.
Finally, we make it to the end. Naturally, Zupe notices the Ender Dragon, and all hell breaks loose. Holy sh! Forget any shade I gave the bus driver. Most based character in fiction. Zupe gets thrown into tension with the bus driver, and the episode is over. Honestly, a very solid conclusion to what the hell?
Christmas!
Yeah, so it turns out there were 2 other episodes in the Monster School series that weren't included in the main playlist, so it looks like we've got to go over them. Merry Christmas is, unsurprisingly, a Christmas special, and is meant to take place between acrobatics and the next missing episode. The plot revolves around Andy delivering presents to his classmates, while Zupe goes on a fucking crime spree after not being chosen as Santa. It's a nice episode. I enjoy seeing all the presents everyone got. And as much as I over-exaggeratedly hate Zupe, I can't deny that this shot goes hard. If combat was so good... He's not doing that voice. If combat was so good, why isn't there a Combat 2? Oh. Combat 2 is meant to take place in between Merry Christmas and Scaring. The plot is similar to Combat 1, only instead of fighting Steve, the students fight each other. Already, this is a much more interesting premise, as we get to see these characters a lot more in action. Sylvester is surprisingly competent, Skellington actually gets a sword, Maggie keeps getting more interesting, Moltis is just cool, and I'm sure you know how Andy and Zupe were gonna do. We live in a world. Zombie Swine did not deserve an F, bro actually tried for once. But with that, I think that's everything. So there you have it, 13 episodes. 15 if you count both Meet the Student episodes. Which I think I'll do because I prefer numbers divisible by 5. As mentioned previously, the series would end with Bus Trip on March 15, 2015. By this point in time, a channel by the name of Stillcraft Animations had already been 9 episodes into their own Monster School series, very obviously inspired by Willcraft's. And with numbers like these, it made sense for people to want to try their hand at a Monster School of their own. But in terms of being faithful, Stillcraft's Monster School was doomed from the start. You wouldn't have known a thing about these characters without having seen the original series first, and even then, they aren't even consistent. I'd be fine if it was its own thing, but it's clearly trying to replicate the original, which becomes even worse when it inadvertently has to carry the torch that Willcraft left behind. And when something isn't done right, it leaves people having to do it themselves. It's like a giant game of telephone. One clear sentence straying further away from its origin, the more people pass it along, resulting in this. It's 2023 as of writing this, and Monster School is still around, with videos like these getting more views than this video will probably get. And I mean, what do you want me to say about this? This shit is just low quality sound effects and color, a complete husk of what it was meant to be. I'd make fun of the comment section, but at that point, I'm taping kick me signs on preschoolers. It's just sad. And kids' content on YouTube is such a rabbit hole that nothing I say can leave a dent on it, so I'll just move past it. At the very least, I'll leave you with the knowledge of a time that once was. A time where one person wanted to make silly Minecraft animations for fun. It was a practice project that was never meant to blow up. But it did, and the creator enjoyed making it until they didn't. And that's okay. Not everyone is meant to do the same thing forever, and growth is simply a product of change. I doubt Willcraft will see this video. As of June 2021, they've left YouTube and don't intend on coming back. But if I were to say one thing to them, then thank you. Thank you for creating a silly Minecraft series that stuck with myself and millions of others to this very day. And that's about it, really. As for you watching, thanks for making it to the end, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. This is gonna be a 30-minute long video, isn't it?